Hey guys, welcome back to Athlete Stories Podcast. Today we have Sam Briggs, but before I get into the introduction, I want to introduce our sponsors as well. Thanks again to WODproof. WODproof is a timing app that supports the podcast, but more importantly, allows you to work out, time your workouts, whether or not you're doing EMOMs or AMRAPs or whatever type of acronym workout you're doing. And they just came out with WODproof Bionic. So check them out at the link in our show notes. And I believe they have a discount available for you there. Athlete Stories is also brought to you by X Endurance Sports Supplements. X Endurance is one of the few products out there, one of the few supplements out there that's approved by Informed Sport for professional athletes. So if you really, really mind what you put in your body, check out X Endurance. They also have a discount in the show notes as well. Back to the show with Sam Briggs. Sam, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, Sam, if you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Happy, disciplined, and fun-loving.
That's awesome. I doubt that most people would describe me as those 3. Disciplined for sure. Sometimes happy. I don't know if I'm always fun-loving though. I want to be more like you. Sam, do you go by Samantha to anybody? Does anybody call you Samantha?
No, only when I'm in trouble. Then I get called Samantha. So I knew as a kid, if ever my mom called me Samantha, then I was in trouble.
Got it. Yeah, I was like, we were planning this show out, and I was like, I've never heard her go by Samantha before. But as I'm like writing notes and stuff, I'm typing Samantha, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody calls her this.
No.
So where are you from?
I'm from a little town called Pudsey in the UK. And so most people would have heard of Leeds. It's just kind of outside of Leeds.
Okay. Were you born in, how long did you live there? Were you raised there or?
Yeah, no, I was born and raised there. I didn't move out of there until I was probably 26 and I moved to Manchester.
Got it. What was it like growing up there?
It was good. It was, we were on a little kind of like cul-de-sac street. So it was cool growing up with like lots of other kids on the street were around the same age. So we would play kind of like roller hockey, soccer, bulldogs charge, hide and seek, all those sort of things. There was probably a good maybe 10 to 15 kids on a regular night. So it was always outside playing. And then spent a lot of time when I was a child. My grandparents only lived maybe like 5-10 minute walk away from us, and they were both teachers. So weekends and like school holidays, we would be there, and they lived opposite a farm. So a lot of time was spent with the kids on the farm, and we would be on the bikes, or we had like a little ATV and a little motocross bike, and it was just always a lot of time outdoors playing.
That's really cool. I mean, classical, like typical childhood upbringing, I guess maybe until the past 10 years where most kids are like on
inside.
Yeah. Because when I look back, I mean, that's, we grew up in somewhat of a cul-de-sac playing with 10 to 15 kids, all sorts of sports. You get tired of one sport, you just play another sport.
Next one, yeah.
Yeah. Depending on what number of kids you have, you're like, well, we only have this many, so let's play this sport,
Yeah.
That's really cool. You mentioned ATVs. Have you gone 4-wheeling with Emma McQuaid?
No, she goes far too fast for me.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That would be aggressive, and you're pretty competitive too. So that, you might.
Yeah, no, like ours was kind of like we had like a little 80cc bike, and I think the quad was like a 125. It was like nothing crazy. It was just enough fun to kind of bomb around the farm, and we'd occasionally go off into the woods and stuff when we were obviously a little bit older.
Yeah,
and explore that way.
What did your parents do?
So my mom was a nurse originally. And then when she had me and my brother, she started working just part-time for a nursing home. And then she actually got into banking. And my dad was a police officer.
Okay. Pretty blue collar. Did you ever expect to become a nurse or a police officer? Like, was that how you were raised, or did you kind of get the freedom to choose whatever you wanted to do?
No, it was always the freedom to choose what I wanted to do. I was actually going down the route of, so my granddad was a chemistry lecturer at university, and my grandma was a biology teacher, and my uncle was an English teacher. So I was actually going down the route of becoming a teacher. I was definitely going more down the academic route. And then just kind of like big life change. And that's when I actually like decided to go for the fire service. I was going for the police and the fire service at the same time and got through to interview stage on both. But I decided that the fire service suited me better. So that's the avenue that I went down.
What you mentioned a life change. Do you care to elaborate on that? Like, you pivoted, or was it just
it was just kind of one of those moments where I was like, I don't really want to be doing kind of I don't mean like a standard 9 to 5, but I just didn't want to be like inside doing the same thing. I'd gotten a little bit more into the fitness side of things, and I wanted to be a little bit more active. And so that's when I kind of made the decision that the academic side wasn't for me. I wanted to do something. Obviously, I was going down the teaching route because I felt like I was like helping somebody. And I wanted to do that, but maybe more of a physical side. And that's when I was then looking for the police and fire service.
That's really cool. You went on to become a firefighter, right?
Yeah, for 10 years.
Okay. Do you still fight fires every once in a while these days, or what?
I've not done. I like officially resigned in 2014. And that's just when like CrossFit was taking off. It was one of those decisions that in order to be competitive at the games level, it wasn't conducive to be working nights.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you won the CrossFit Games in 2013, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was kind of, I have no idea what the prize money was back then, but probably not enough for you to like retire forever, but enough for you to like consider the next year of competition.
Yeah, no, that was, so at the time I took a sabbatical from the fire service, and so I actually worked my last night shift just as the Open was starting in 2013. And that's when I had a taste of going kind of professional for CrossFit. Obviously, then that worked well. In 2013, I won the games. So that then allowed me to pursue being a professional athlete. I extended the career break for a year. And unfortunately, due to budget cuts in the fire service, they were recalling people on sabbatical. And I was just not ready at the time to go back to work. So I had to make the decision to like see where the CrossFit journey could actually take me.
Would you say it was a good decision?
Oh, definitely. Like, I don't have any regrets. If I hadn't have found CrossFit, then I definitely would still be, or if I hadn't have been as good at CrossFit, I definitely would still have been in the fire service. I loved the job, and I loved the guys that I worked with. But at the time, it was like I had to pursue. It's like kind of everybody's dream, I suppose, to be a professional athlete and kind of see where that could take me.
Yeah, and not everybody gets that opportunity or, the physical ability. So I think you made the right choice. And I don't think CrossFit would be the same if you hadn't have gone down that journey. So thank you. Hey, did you ever fight any fires? Like, do you have any crazy experiences as a firefighter?
Yeah, I've fought a lot of fires and did a lot of things. one of the things after I'd done my probation is you can put in for a transfer. And I purposely went to a busy station to get experience. So we were out at a lot of different kind of fires and stuff. And the station that I worked at predominantly in my career had a special unit which was sent out to any like major rescues. So any big car accidents, or if there was a truck involved, or building collapse, anything like that, we were mobilized anywhere within the region. So we got a lot of different kind of exposure to incidents, not just fires.
That's great. I would I have a bunch of friends that are firefighters, but a few of them that have never fought fires, and then a few of them that have like pulled people out of fire. So I'm always interested in the crazy stories. Going down memory lane for a second, back to the 2013 CrossFit Games. When you won that competition, what was that like for you? Can you recall like the feeling,
I still don't think it kind of like sits in that it's real. It's if you think about all the time that you train like for that moment, and the moment is over like so quickly, that is definitely a surreal experience. Sometimes you think back and you're like, oh, I actually did that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I wish sometimes with accomplishments like that, I mean, I haven't, of course, accomplished that, but I've done some cool things. But I wish you could like hold on to that, or like put that feeling in like a jar and like, you know,
every now and again you can just open it and be like, ah, yes, that was it.
Yeah, like this is great. You know, you put it back. You know, especially when you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, and be like, oh, no, open the jar.
It's all good.
How, if you could compare, I'm a numbers guy, so this question may not like work well if you're not, but like if you could, how much harder percentage wise do you think it is now to compete in the CrossFit Games versus 2013? Because obviously the sport has progressed. Not that it's ever been like you were indisputably the fittest on earth back then, but like it's gotten more challenging, I would say. How much harder do you think it is to win the games, if it's 5% or 50%? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's different because you also have to look at kind of the relative training that went in to be able to compete at that time, and the kind of like the knowledge going in to the nutrition, to the different training methodologies, the different accessory work. A lot of the things that we were doing back in 2013 training wise were exploring different methodologies, different training programs, different kind of cycles. Some things didn't work, some things did, which then has kind of like paved the way to how you should train for the games, and how as a competitive athlete you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. So I think that obviously things have changed a lot. There's also one of the things that was different back the games then was more the mentally draining side of things, that we were at the venue most mornings at 6 a.m. for briefings. They would do individuals, teams. Then we weren't leaving the venue some nights until after 10 p.m. Whereas now, from feedback, the games is a much more kind of like dialed in experience, and there's no early morning starts unless it's essential for maybe one workout. Most evenings you're done kind of like 6, 7, because the recovery side of things has also become more important, and they know for better performances if athletes are more recovered, they're going to perform better. So then they're going to put on a better show for people. And it's not really who can just survive the weekend anymore. It's actually like showcasing their fitnesses across the full weekend, not just who can actually perform a workout on the last day.
Yeah, it's not so much the savage race anymore. It's more sport and audience driven.
Yeah. So it's very different to kind of like put a number. Obviously, the weights and maybe the intensity of some of the things have improved. But sometimes the most brutal workouts are the simplest workouts, and going back to the traditional CrossFit are actually the better tests of fitness.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I mean, even if you look at like Wadapalooza, for example, I think not everybody, most of the people that I've talked to would agree that the worst workout was the Echo Fran.
Yeah.
Like, I think 30, 20, 10, Echo bike, chest to bar, thruster. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, the teams had the 30, 20, 10. The individuals had the 21, 15, 9. So it was heavy Fran with chest to bar, and then add on the Echo bike as well.
And from an audience perspective, you're like, oh, they're done in 5 minutes. Like that must have been the easiest one compared to like the flipping the not pig, but the thing, the flip sled. All the other stuff, but in reality, like the 5-minute workout, the original CrossFit style workout was the most difficult. Why didn't you do Wadapalooza? Is because you just did Dubai?
So we decided that after I'd done Rogue and Dubai, that I needed just a little bit more time off before the Open and the season like kicked into start. So we made the decision just before Dubai, because I was originally going a team of 3 with Emma. So I was like, okay, Emma, you're going to go individual for Wadapalooza now. She's like, damn it, I'm going to have to train hard over Christmas. Yep.
Hey, it worked out for her.
It did, yeah. I definitely don't think there was any regrets for her there.
Yeah, she owes you a dinner or something, because the reward on first place in Indy is a little different than the reward on teams.
Yeah, she picked a good year to do individual.
Heck yeah. It was a really fun competition. Did you watch it online, or were you there?
I was there. I was her standing coach. So me and Emma have the same coach, and he couldn't go out, so I was there as coach. Okay. And coaching is far more stressful than competing. I think I was more tired than her at the end of the weekend.
I know, and it's sad to say that, right? Because you're not doing the work, but I mean, even like working at coaching and having some athletes there, like we walked around like 20,000 steps a day on average, like losing our voice, dehydrated, missing meals. Like I was like, I'd rather just be working out. Like this is a lot back here. So I feel like sleeping 5 hours a night. Like it was a Wadapalooza week is an exhausting week, but totally fun. What about how did you like Dubai? What was your overall experience with the Dubai CrossFit Championship?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different to previous years. Just the competition was only over 3 days instead of the usual 4, and the first day was only 1 event really. So I'm used to a lot more events, kind of a lot bigger competition, but it was as fun as always. It's always really good to get out there and have a little bit of winter sun, and just to kind of finish the year off with a bang kind of thing.
Yeah. What's your favorite competition to compete in typically? Rogue, the Games, Wadapalooza, Dubai?
I mean, Rogue's fairly new as far as like the competition going. The first year it ran, I only did the Legends version of it. And then the second year was obviously online. So this last year was kind of my first experience of it. I think they did a great job. They always do go the extra mile to look after the athletes, which I think is really cool, because a lot of other competitions, it's not that they don't care about the athletes, but they're just trying to like put on a good competition. Whereas Rogue, it's all about the athlete experience kind of first, I think. So that's always a cool thing. I don't know, like I think Dubai will always like hold something special for me. Just the first time I ever did it, it was after I was questioning whether to retire or not after the games in 2016. I had to have shoulder surgery. So the aim was, after the shoulder surgery, okay, let's see if we can qualify for Dubai, and let's see how we do in Dubai, and then assess if we're going to like make another run at the games. And obviously it's 2022 now and I'm still going. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you still have have you always had the same coach?
So I actually worked with James back in kind of like 2011 until 2014 when I moved out to the States. He just did at the time kind of movement mechanic work. So I worked with him alongside my like CrossFit coach. And it was purely that I wasn't in the country anymore to kind of get hands-on training with him. It wasn't that we kind of like fell out or anything. And then in 2016, I was back in the UK and I started having trouble with my shoulder before the games. So I got in touch with him. I was like, can you help me, please? The CrossFit Games is in 3 weeks and I can't lift my arm more than an inch off my body kind of thing. So he helped devise kind of like a plan going into the games. And he was out at the CrossFit Games anyway, looking after Team Yas, that podium that year. So he was looking after me at the games. And then after the games, when we found out that I needed shoulder surgery, he was then, look, if you'd like to get back to competing, I'd like to help you. And at the time now, he does full CrossFit programming. It's not just kind of the movement side of things. So I was like, okay, sure. And he said, there's one condition. I program everything and you have to listen to me. And I was like, okay. Which was a hard thing for me because I spent like 2014 to 2016 kind of programming for myself, working with a few like specialist coaches in like lifting and gymnastics, but then supplementing that with my own programming. So to hand somebody the reins and let them be fully in control, I was like, do I really want this?
Yeah, that's, I think, most people's life story. Handing over control is always pretty tough.
Yeah, but it seems to work. I'm still going.
Yeah, I would say it is working. What got you into, actually, you know what? I want to ask a separate question about that. This is sort of a sidebar, just kind of current events. What are your thoughts on and you can do like no comment if you want to, but the Noble jersey thing, did you read about that? I'm sure you know about that, but did you read about it?
I don't know about that. Sorry.
So really the subject at hand, Morning Chalk Up wrote about it, but like in most sports, almost all sports, like if your name's on a jersey, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
But the Noble shirts, jerseys, we can call them either one. Athletes like yourself aren't getting compensated for the sales of the shirts with your name on them.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I didn't really know about that. I don't think it's fair if they're selling something like with somebody's name on it, then they should be getting at least a cut of the profit for the sale of that shirt. I believe like the Reebok jerseys, I know that I think the Reebok athletes did get a cut, but then if they sold a jersey and it wasn't a Reebok athlete, I think there was something similar back in the past. So I do believe that should be resolved, because if it's got somebody else's name on it, then it's their name that's selling the shirt. Otherwise, they'd be getting a plain shirt. if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't buy the shirt if it didn't say Briggs or
Yeah.
Olson or whatever. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was just curious of your thoughts. Technically, when you sign up for the Open, and most people don't know this, you're signing off rights to your name and image likeness to CrossFit LLC, which is how they get away with selling shirts with your name on it legally. But just for the audience and maybe for yourself to know that. So if you want to do the Open, you kind of got to give them the ability to do that. However, and you have to read it in Morning Chalk Up. Todd at Noble made some comments that they're working on doing something like that next year, just to play both sides. How did you get into CrossFit?
I just retired from soccer. I was running for a club in Manchester and just basically spending most of my life in a global gym training. As a firefighter at the time, I worked 2 days, 2 nights, and then had 4 days off. So my 4 days off would be like majority of the time in the gym. And one of the personal trainers at the gym saw kind of the style of training that I was doing and stuff, and asked me if I fancied going to a CrossFit class. So he's like, Google it. If you like the sound of it, I'll take you to a class here in Manchester. And I Googled it, thought it looked really, really weird, but I was like, well, might as well give it a chance. Did my first session and basically cancelled my global gym membership, and then spent every morning and afternoon in a CrossFit gym.
What year was that?
That was 2009.
Wow. What do you remember your first CrossFit workout?
I do. It was Helen.
Wow. What okay. And how did that go?
Well, I was already a good runner. I did strict pull-ups and then these weird kettlebell swing things, and just basically tried to kill myself, go as hard as I could, and felt like death afterwards and was hooked.
Did you do pretty well though? Because I mean, you have an incredible engine, and I guess back then there was kind of a lot of running in CrossFit no matter what anyways.
Yeah, no, like so fitness wise I was already very fit. I had like kind of like the raw strength from being a firefighter, and we would go in the gym with the guys and do bench press and kind of like half range squats and some pretty ugly deadlifts. So I had the raw strength there. Like I said, I could do a strict pull up. I didn't know how to kip. For me, it was more the body awareness, and so like trying to kip and then learning the ollie lifts and the gymnastics. That was the hard thing. Like the fitness side was already there.
Yeah, that came with your career in sports. So you mentioned soccer. Did you play other sports?
I did a lot of sports growing up. My main sport was soccer that I did like all the way through. Played rugby, raced mountain bikes, ran cross country, did some karate, some kickboxing. Basically anything that I could do, I would like do just to stay active and stay fit.
Have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
I've not watched it actually. I don't know. Like a lot of people have said it's good, but I don't know if it'll just annoy me or not.
I think you got to give it a try either way. It might annoy you, but it's so wholesome that you'll be like, like those commercials that annoy you, but you still watch them.
Yeah. You just kind of drawn in. You're like sucked in anyway.
But chances are you'll love it. It's really like you'll like it because it's they're in the UK and soccer, but he's a really great actor and it's entertaining. You should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Especially if you just need to laugh or smile, because it'll inevitably make you do both. What's your proudest moment as a kid or maybe a young adult that you can remember?
Wow. That's hard. I don't know. As a kid, I always tried hard. I just wanted like my mom to always be like proud of me. So my mom and dad separated when I was kind of like 11. So I always saw how hard like my mom worked to make sure that me and my brother still had everything. So I always wanted to kind of make her proud. But no kind of like single moment kind of like stands out as a kid or a young adult.
Do you know
maybe like when I passed out for the fire service, that was probably one of my like proudest like moments. It's so hard to get into the fire service and then to get through all the training. We had 3 months residential training. So on a Sunday night, we had to be on site and we weren't released until Friday evening. You were kind of their property.
Wow. It's like Bud's Week in the military or something.
Yeah,
like
that. It's definitely softened up since then. It was very kind of like military style. They could wake you up through the night and drill you. You had to you weren't allowed to walk anywhere. You always had to march everywhere. You always had to stay in sync. It was like pretty bad. They would, if your bed wasn't made right, they'd come and like tip it all up and everything. So
oh wow. That's different than it is now for sure.
Yeah.
Can you recall what your earliest childhood memory is?
My earliest childhood memory. So the thing that springs to mind there is we had a German Shepherd and he like escaped the garden and got knocked over. And I remember him being in the house and me and my brother at the time shared a bedroom and we had bunk beds. And I was trying to see what was happening with the dog and like shouting my mom, what's happening? She's obviously trying to look after the dog and doesn't want to be like bothered by me. And I can remember falling out the top bunk and I'm like, oh, I just fell. And she's like, well, you shouldn't have been nosy.
How
Luckily,
old were you?
The dog was fine. He had to have a little surgery on his leg, but he was okay. But as a nosy kid, I like couldn't give my mom like 2 minutes peace trying to look after the dog.
Yeah, I know. I my parents would probably say that I was the same. So, when I was a kid, I broke my arm riding a bike, but I slept on the top bunk as well. And I fell off the top bunk because it didn't have that little,
the barrier thing.
I don't know why it didn't have that. Maybe we bought the bunk bed from a yard sale or something. But so I woke up, like I fell and woke up once I fell on my broken arm, and like it was like a siren went off, and I was like 8 years old, just crying like bloody murder because I just fell on my broken arm. What was your favorite workout at the CrossFit Games?
In any CrossFit Games?
Yeah, like what's been your most favorite event that you've ever done in the past 8 years of competing? 8 years? Yeah, 8 times. Anyways, go ahead.
10 times.
10 times at the games?
Yeah, 9 as an individual and the 1 year that I went masters.
Right. Okay. Gosh. That's a lot.
Been around forever.
That's a lot of CrossFit Games. Anyways, what was your favorite event?
Okay, the one that stands out the most was my first event at the Games, like ever, back in 2010, and that was Amanda, and that was the first time at the StubHub Centre. So it was the first ever event under the lights in the tennis stadium, and that's when I knew that I wanted to be a CrossFit athlete. I kind of just got into CrossFit and kind of like stumbled on competing. I was trying to become a triathlete, and so CrossFit was supplementing my triathlon training. And it was that event that I was like, no, this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is where I should be. So that was kind of the defining moment of I wanted to be a CrossFit athlete. Then other workouts, I think one of the big one that stands out again on the Amanda theme of things was the Amanda 4.45 in 2017, and that's when it was it like 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 or whatever the reps were of the squat, snatches and muscle ups, and that's when I knew that I could still be competitive after coming back from the shoulder surgery, and being able to do that volume of snatches and muscle ups again after the surgery. It was like, yeah, okay, I am meant to be back. I didn't have to retire last year. This is where I should still be.
That's so cool, and it's so ironic that it was the same workout.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds?
Just a little bit harder, and I couldn't finish Amanda in 2010. That was my 1 rep max snatch. I could kind of do some ugly muscle ups, and then being able to finish in 2017. I think I finished like 3rd or 4th in that workout as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it was like a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was I going to say? We talked a little bit about what you wanted to do as a career and then what you did do as a career. What was your favorite like topic or subject growing up in school? Like, what was your favorite thing to study or to do?
So I was better at kind of like the numbers and stuff. So maths and science were kind of my main subjects. So I originally started doing maths with biology to do that, to be a teacher.
What kind of student were you? Were you a good kid or were you a troublemaker, somewhere in between?
I'm a good kid, but I had like a little mischievous like side to me. Like never like naughty or intentionally like bad, just like would try and push boundaries a little bit.
You got to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Did you ever get in trouble? What's the most trouble you've ever been in growing up?
I don't know. I probably like snuck out, and it's when you get to that age where you like where you're all your friends like trying alcohol, and you like you have a couple of sips and you come home drunk, and it's like you feel so big when you're with your friends, and then you get home and your mum's like,
you're so small.
Have you been drinking? No, not me.
Did you have a hero or heroes growing up?
I used to love watching the Olympics and the track and field. So when I was growing up in the UK for the Team GB, we had a few good role models in the female side. Like we had Denise Lewis and stuff. So the track and field always, and the sprints I used to love watching them and look up to them. Unfortunately, I was never very powerful, so I was always put on the longer distances and the cross country. I'm like, I want to sprint, I want to do the 100 meters. No, you're not fast enough. Go run 5K. But I want to do this. No.
Yeah. I'm the opposite, except probably not that good at the 100 either. But if I'm going to do anything, it's a 40 or 100, and then I'm done. Like gassed out. What is your morning and nighttime routine like? Are you pretty consistent?
I am very consistent. I was actually listening to Emma McQuaid's interview that she did on Talking Elite yesterday, I think, and they were asking what she thought made me a good athlete, and she was just like, she's so routine. I was like, damn it, I thought I hit it really well.
What is your morning routine like? What is it? Wake up at what time?
Up at the same time every day. Same breakfast, same everything. I go to bed at the same time. Yeah. My mornings are typically you can see he's asleep now.
Yeah, you can hear him.
Yeah, and his little tongue sticking out.
Awesome.
So once I'm up and I've had breakfast, it's walking the dogs, and then I get ready for my morning session. My morning session's more kind of like mobility, rehab, prehab work, and then cardio. Lunchtime, and then I head into the gym, and then I have a good group of girls that I train with on an afternoon. Then evening, eat, walk the dogs again, and then it's chill and relax time, do any recovery that I need to do. And it's I'm normally in bed for kind of like that, like 8:30 time, a little bit of reading, and then lights out just after 9 o'clock.
What do you like to read? What are you reading right now?
I read anything, just something to like switch my mind off. I've actually just read Ben Bergeron's new book. It's about leadership, so it didn't really have anything to do with me, but Nicole had bought it, and I just finished my book, and I was like, oh, I'll read it. It's actually really good. It takes a lot of. I did a lot of leadership stuff for the fire service. I actually, before I resigned, was a watch commander, which is like your captains over here. So I did like management and did a business degree as part of all of that promotion. So a lot of the stuff that I learned, he puts into kind of like real life scenarios, makes it easy to understand. So if anybody's looking at building a small business or team or anything, definitely worth a little read. Little plug for Ben there.
Awfully nice of you. What's your favorite book or top 2 or 3?
My favorite book is a book called Endure by Alex Hutchinson, I believe. And it's a big, thick book, and I've read it from cover to cover probably 4 or 5 times now. And it's awesome. I'll always forget bits. So when I go back and read it, it helps. And it's just kind of like looks at what makes a human able to endure. Is it like, and what stops you going past it? So is it the mind's capacity, or is it like the body? And obviously it's a mix of two. So, but it looks into all the different elements that like makes you give up, and how you can, or how athletes who are at the top of their sport can kind of like overcome like these barriers and able to become the best in their sport because they're able to endure a little bit longer than others.
I need to pick that up.
It's definitely worth the read.
Yeah, it sounds really good. To me, it sounds like something I would enjoy a lot. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
I have. I've written autobiography, which I never thought I would do. I was like, who wants to read about my life? But I got approached by a publishing house, and they provided the ghostwriter. So it was actually a lot easier experience than I thought it was going to be, because it was basically just me being interviewed and telling him my life story, and then he put it into.
That's awesome. That's great. Is it out?
Yeah.
Okay. I should have. That's a lack of preparation on my end.
You are all good. It's called Start Your Engines.
No, of course it is. When did it come out?
It was actually really bad timing. It came out just before COVID, so there was no big like signings, no big book release. It was actually like really unfortunate timing. The same for the audiobook. I wasn't able to record the audiobook because I wasn't allowed to go into a studio. We were very limited on who we could choose to do the reading, because it had to be somebody with a home studio. So everybody who's had the audiobooks, and it sounds like one of the professors out of Harry Potter. I was like, surely that's entertaining.
I mean, I wouldn't be complaining. I love Harry Potter. I'd probably enjoy listening to it. Okay, that's dope. I'll have to check that out. I did not know that. I wrote a book 2 years ago, and I always forget about it too. And it came out January 2020. So right before the pandemic as well. And so I often think, like, should I make a second push on the book? Like new book, like, hey everyone. What do you think is the hardest? This is out of left field, just coming back to the CrossFit world.
Yep.
What do you think is the hardest thing about being a CrossFit athlete? Kind of, you made me think about it with that Endura book, but is it the training? Is it the mindset? Is it the income?
I think the hardest thing about being a CrossFit athlete in the beginning was just that it was paving the way. It was so new. Obviously, sponsorship in the beginning wasn't a lot. I think now, like, obviously, there's a lot more things in sport, and CrossFit's a lot wider recognized. So for up and coming athletes, like, I think a perfect example is looking at Mal O'Brien and Emma Carey that have had the training from a young age and are coming through as athletes and not having to do a second job or supplement their training with anything. So I think that was definitely the hardest thing in the beginning, is you're training like a professional athlete, putting in all the time, but you weren't getting the money or the recognition of a professional athlete. And I think things are definitely still a long ways to go, but have improved drastically.
Yeah, I would agree. How does it feel because this is such a unique sport, where a woman at your age would be competing against a girl of Emma's age or Mal's age, and having a relative competition, like physically and all the things. I mean, very, very competitive teenagers, right? And so, like, what does that feel like out on the field? Like, is it humbling? Is it inspiring? Is it both?
I forget how old I am until, like, articles like say that I'm like twice the age of Emma Carey, and then I'm like, damn it, am I really like that old? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think I always say you're as old as you feel. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel way older than I am, but
yeah, but no, I think it's awesome to see like young athletes like coming through like that, and it's only going to inspire like an even younger generation coming through. And I just think it's great that these role models are now available for young girls, and young girls are seeing that they can be strong and fast and capable. They don't have to be like skinny and
all
weak.
the things that the media, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite competitor to compete against or with, other than Emma? If Emma's going to be your first choice, who else is it?
I think that's one of the things that I love about CrossFit is you make friendships, and like competitions are kind of like reunions. It's like you look forward to going to a competition because you get to catch up with your friends. I mean, obviously, as soon as 3, 2, 1 go happens, you're like, it's all business. But then afterwards, like in between events and stuff, it's like playtime. So I've always enjoyed training with other athletes and pushing like that. Spent a while training with Sarah, and we always have a laugh. So it's always good to catch up and get to. It was great to see her back in competition. Luckily, the scare that she had at Waterpalooza wasn't as bad as what was first thought. So.
Yeah, that's really great news. If you were to do teams, who would be on your team?
Sorry, he's trying to get involved. So I would probably do like a OG team. I used to have like such fun training with Dan Bailey. So let's bring Bailey back in the mix of things. Then who else would I have?
You can have Emma if you want to put Emma on the team.
Okay, we'll bring Emma in. So does that mean I have to have
one more guy?
Another younger guy?
Anybody you want.
I don't really know. The only other like guy that's like still competing. Oh, I know. Let's have like Panchek in there too. Like
Okay.
he retired, but then comes back and he's like kicking ass again. I'm like, has he really retired?
I think retiring is a different word in the CrossFit world than it is in other sports. Everybody's like MJ retiring, where they just keep coming back. So we like to end the show with like a mix of what we call like rapid fire and then some rabbit hole questions. So that's kind of like where we'll go now, because these will seem random to you. If you could put anything on a big blank billboard for like anybody to see, maybe the busiest intersection that you know of, what would it say?
Follow your dreams.
Love it. Summer or winter?
Summer.
For sure.
I am not good in the cold.
I don't know anybody that has said winter or will say winter. But only time will tell. Do you have a favorite number?
13.
Why 13?
It's the year that I won, so it's the number that I'm stuck with. I might as well like it.
If you weren't a professional CrossFit athlete at this stage in your life, what would you be doing professionally?
I think I'd still be a firefighter.
Okay. Pizza or tacos?
I would have always said pizza, but I've just had a week in Mexico and I practically ate tacos for every meal every day. So I've kind of been like turned over to the taco side.
Reborn. That's a taco.
Yeah.
Tacos are very diverse. You can eat them at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner tacos, and dessert tacos.
Yeah.
You prefer texting or talking?
Texting. I really don't like talking to people. That's really bad. But like, if somebody's ringing me, I'm like, oh, can you not just say that in a text?
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time today. If you could have the choice between talking to animals or understanding every human language, which I feel like I know the answer to this question already, which one would it be?
We've got to talk to this little guy.
I knew it. Plus, you don't like talking to people, so why would you want to know every language?
That maybe sounded worse than it is, but
it's all right. This one's tougher, so good luck. If you had to choose, this is called the Trolley Dilemma. Have you ever heard of the Trolley Dilemma?
No.
Okay. A hypothetical scenario, there's 2 train tracks and 1 train. On both train tracks, there's a loved one of yours and 5 strangers. The train's got to go on 1 track and you're in control. Which way are you letting it go?
I'm gonna like crash it in the middle and sacrifice myself for the 6 of them.
Wow. I don't know that I don't know if that is an answer, but nobody's ever brought that up yet. So you're the most altruistic person of them all, apparently. Yeah, you win. Hopefully nobody like listens to this part and then I interview them and then they just keep stealing what you said. That's probably the best answer. Sam, how do you want people to remember you?
For always like enjoying life.
Love it. Well, Sam, those are all the questions that I have for you today. It's been a ton of fun having you on the show. Really look forward to next season and you breaking some more records. You have any comments or anything for the audience before we close out today?
Just good luck with the prep for the Open. It's only a month away.
Only a month away. Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on the Athlete Stories podcast today. It was really cool learning a lot more about you than you can typically find by Googling. I probably could have read the book though and found out some of this stuff. So
I'll let you off. I didn't know you had a book either, so we're even.
I appreciate. Yeah, we're even. Hey, where can people find the book? Is it on Amazon and everything?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. There's it's out on hardbook and paperbook now.
Heck yeah.
So,
Okay, cool. So for the audience, they can find your book anywhere books are sold, and it is called
Start Your Engines.
Start Your Engines. Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on the show today, Sam, and look forward to seeing you in the open and seeing you at the games.
No problem. Thank you very much.